My fiancée cheated and told me it meant nothing and that I should let it go. I stayed calm, made one silent decision, and watched her confidence collapse when she realized I was done. I, 29 male, am a structural engineer. In my world, everything is about load-bearing integrity and predicting where a structure will fail under pressure. I've spent 5 years building what I thought was a rock-solid life with my fiancée. We were 3 months out from a wedding that cost more than a luxury SUV. Her parents are the definition of old money, entitlement, the kind of people who treat waiters like furniture and think rules are suggestions for the poor. We lived in a high-rise condo in Chicago that I bought with my own hard-earned money. She worked in luxury branding, which basically meant I funded her lifestyle while she went to parties to network. The crack started showing at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was up late working on a bridge project when her phone started blowing up on the nightstand. It wasn't just a text. It was a flood of notifications from an app hidden behind a calculator icon. I'm an engineer. I'm literally paid to find out how things work. I bypassed the simple passcode and found the work expenses folder. Inside weren't receipts for lunch meetings. It was a library of her and her college ex-boyfriend. The messages were revolting. She wasn't just cheating. She was mocking me. She called me the ATM and the blueprint dork. She'd been using the wedding emergency credit card I gave her to book 5-star hotel suites for their hookups. She even used my money to buy him a $4,000 watch for his birthday while telling me she'd spend that money on premium floral arrangements for the ceremony. I sat at the kitchen island for the rest of the night, downloading every message, every GPS log, and every bank statement. I didn't feel like crying. I felt like I was looking at a faulty schematic. When she walked out at 8 a.m. in her silk robe, I just slid the phone across the counter. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She poured herself a coffee, took a sip, and looked me dead in the eye with this terrifyingly smug entitlement. She told me it meant nothing. She said she was stressed by the wedding planning and needed a release that didn't involve me talking about steel tension. Then she said the words that sealed her fate. Honestly, you should just let it go. We have a guest list of 300 people and my family's reputation at stake. Don't be dramatic over a little side fun. You're right, I said. My voice was so calm it actually surprised me. I'll let it go. She actually smiled and patted my hand like I was a dog that had finally learned to sit. She thought she'd won. She thought I was too stable and boring to actually blow up my own life. She had no idea I was already calculating the demolition. The next 30 days were a game of chess. To her, I was the perfect, forgiven husband-to-be. I went to the tastings. I nodded when her mother demanded $15,000 for imported lilies. But behind the scenes, I was working with a top-tier litigation attorney. Since we had a cohabitation agreement with a very specific lifestyle and morality clause, something her own father had insisted on to protect their interests, she had technically committed a material breach of contract by using shared funds for her affair. But I wanted more than just my money back. I found out her father, the pillar of the community, was running a massive tax evasion scheme through the family trust, using my fiancé's name to sign off on shell company documents. He thought he was being clever, but he'd left a paper trail a mile wide in the wedding gift paperwork he'd filed. I waited for the rehearsal dinner. This wasn't just a family dinner. It was a huge gala at an exclusive waterfront club with all their high society friends. Her father stood up and gave this long, rambling speech about traditional values and how proud he was to welcome a solid man like me into their prestigious lineage. He even made a joke about how I knew how to keep my head down. When it was my turn, I walked to the podium. I had a flash drive and a dream. I'd paid the AV guy $1,000 to make sure the tribute video I brought played no matter what. I've learned a lot from this family. I told the room. I've learned that some things mean everything and some things mean nothing. I looked at my fiancée. She was sitting there with her ex, who she'd invited as a distant cousin, and she was literally stroking his leg under the table. She thought I couldn't see. My fiancée told me her affair with the man at table 4 meant nothing. I said into Mike. She told me to let it go. So I'm letting it all go. The wedding is off. The engagement is over. The room went so Quiet, you could hear the ice melting in the glasses. Then the screens came alive. It wasn't photos of our vacations. It was the hotel receipts. The photos from the hidden folder. The group chats where she and her maid of honor called her parents clueless checkbooks, and me a boring paycheck. But the grand finale was a scan of the whistleblower report I'd sent to the IRS and the FBI that afternoon. I pointed at her father. The feds are probably waiting at your estate by now for that tax fraud and the stadium bribery. And to my ex-fiancée, you've been served. My lawyer is in the lobby with a lawsuit for the $85,000 you misappropriated from our joint accounts and the breach of our cohabitation contract. She didn't cry. She went into a full-blown entitlement rage. She screamed that I was destroying a legacy over a mistake. She tried to throw a wine glass at me, but I just stepped aside. Her father looked like he was turning purple. "You should probably let it go," I said, and I walked out. I went straight to the airport and used our non-refundable honeymoon tickets to the Maldives. While I was sitting on a beach, their entire world was being dismantled because the affair was proven in front of 100 witnesses and backed by digital evidence. The breach of promise and civil fraud cases were open and shut. The judge was disgusted by her behavior. She was ordered to pay back every single cent, plus legal fees. Since she spent all her own money on clothes and branding, the court ordered a 25% wage garnishment for the foreseeable future. She lost a condo, her social standing, and her luxury job because the firm didn't want to be associated with a public scandal. Her father's assets were frozen by the IRS. The stadium contract he was bragging about was canceled, and he's currently looking at a federal prison sentence. Her mother is reportedly selling their vacation home just to cover the retainers for their defense attorneys. Last week, she emailed me. She was hysterical, saying she was living in a tiny apartment and couldn't afford her car payment. She told me I ruined her life and asked if I could find in my heart to forgive her and stop the garnishment. I replied, "It's just a court order. It means nothing. Let it go." I'm back in Chicago now. My condo is quiet. My bank account is healthy thanks to the IRS whistleblower reward, and I've never felt lighter. If you're going to build a life with someone, make sure the foundation isn't made of lies, because I'm an engineer and I love a good demolition.